Hi guys, in today's review we'll be looking at this Hornby Great Western King from about 2000. This is when they moved over to China and put the motor in the loco. There's a story behind this locomotive. It's the first locomotive I got after my dad passed away, and if you want to see that video I will link it now. A bit personal, but it's there. We all have reasons to buy locomotives. And this locomotive is King Stephen, and it's in the Great Western line, and it also has the crest and the writing on the tender. For me, the 2000 Hornby stuff is probably the best they've ever made. That's only my opinion. So let's get in and see what it's all about, shall we? See how good this thing really is or isn't, depending on your preference. As we start off at the detail bag, you do get a front coupling to screw in with the screw. You also get some sort of chip, not sure what that's for. We also got two unpainted figurines, a fireman and a driver, which I call Bill and Ben. They're already in the cab. As we move on to the front of the locomotive does have metal sprung buffers. I think this was the first time a King class had it in Hornby's range. We also have the red buffer beam with some rivets on there, along with the number of the locomotive, which is 6029. I think it was the last of the class, if I'm honest with you. We also have a black hook in the centre, if you want to do free links and all that sort of stuff. We also have a Great Western style vacuum pipe or air pipe, whatever it is. Moving up a bit more, we do have 3 lamp irons, 2 cylinders as well, which are there, not picked out, but they are there. We also have a step at the curve either side. Moving around to the smoke box door, we do have the dart, which is separately applied by the looks of it. We also have a lamp iron. We also have nothing else picked out there, the hinges or anything not picked out, but it doesn't bother me. And we also have the handrail going round too. And you can also see the copper style chimney that the Great Western had. As we move on to the side of the locomotive, there's some differences between both sides. We'll start off at this side first. This side does have some lamp irons, 2 of them, near the steam pipe, which is the S-shaped thing. We do have that, it is nice. We also have the Great Western style front bogie with the first wheel covered for the King only, I believe. That is nice. Moving along a bit, the splashes do have gold on them, all 3 of them, it is nice. We also do have the name of the locomotive, which is King Stephen. Later on it would get renamed. We also have some lining on the locomotive, I think it's red, black, red. That's all over the boiler to the firebox as well. We have the Great Western chimney as safety valves, and I think we have plastic whistles there as well at the back. As we move on to the other side of the locomotive, there is a few differences this side compared to the others. We do have a superheater this side, we did have one on the other side, I just didn't mention it. We also have the steam pipe as well, but next to the steam pipe there is no lamp irons there, like these on the other side. We do have different piping around this side with the handrail. The other side was just a handrail, this side is some extra piping, especially around to the cab area. There is a lot more intricate piping there, and some of it's moulded, some of it's separately applied. Speaking of separately applied, we do have a metal reverser that goes behind the nameplate. That is a nice touch by Hornby. I do like it when they use metal. The splashes are in gold with the name as well. Like I said, we have this red lining everywhere, even on the cab and the cab steps. The cab does have 2 red dots. I think that could be for some sort of special or the Great Western's way of doing the route availability. We do have glazing in the cab, and it has got a gold banding around the windows, which is great if I'm honest with you. We do have handrails as well, even the steps have the lining too, and the wheel configuration is a 460, and it's all metal. All the workings, the cylinders, the motion is all metal. It's fantastic. As we move on to the cab area itself, even though the cab has glazing, the cab doesn't have any painted detail, but it's all there, it's all moulded. Like I said, it's one of the first from China, I believe, before Hornby started detailing their cabs. It is nice. I've just stuck Bill and Ben in there to give it some style, but they're black as well, which doesn't help matters. If we move across onto the tender, we do have a coal chute with some coal actually coming out of it, which is fantastic if I'm honest with you. We do have some buffers as well to stop the tender bumping into the loco. Someone did tell me they might be slightly sprung, but I don't know. We also have some levers there as well and some chests for tools and stuff. And now time for something different in the review. I'm going to show you how you connect the loco. It's pretty easy before Hornby started using the plug. The tender does have a little pole on the tender. It's like a little one, just like a mouth open, it's there. The loco itself has a fork, a plastic one and a copper one, I believe, and you just slowly push them together like so. And you should hear a pop like that. That's all you do. It's pretty simple. This is before the plug, obviously. As we move on to the tender now. The tender is in this Great Western green like the locomotive. It does have the crest and Great Western written either side of it. It's lovely printed by the Tempo people. We also have the lining, which also is on the steps, and the bottom running side of the chassis as well. This is on both sides. It is a little bit advanced, I think, with the rivets there too. As we move on to the back of the tender, it is highly detailed, a bit like most of the locomotives, and this is the first one built in China for Hornby, one of the first locomotives. Does have metal sprung buffers, like I said, does have some rivets as well. We also have a vacuum pipe. I believe the coupling you can pull out and change, if I'm honest with you. Well, I'm unsure, but at the moment it's a big D one. It doesn't bother me. Moving up a bit, we also have some lining around the tender body. We have some handrails as well, two at the top and two either side, one either side. We have steps as well, we have lamp irons and some rivets. As we do a bird's eye view of the tender doesn't have any water hatches because it has a scoop, I believe, but does have a dome and two pockets or two sort of cabinets there. I don't know what they're for. Also some stuff to put chains on, I believe, as well. As we move across, we do have a slot there for the fireman's tools next to the coal. The coal isn't too bad, it's not removable, but it isn't too bad. It's quite a nice tender, if I'm honest. As we move on to the bird's eye view of the locomotive itself, there's a lot of rivets on the cab roof, and also some moulded vents. I do like it, it is nice. Moving across, we do have safety valves and whistles, which I think are both plastic, but at least they've done the safety valves in gold or copper, wherever it's meant to be. That is nice. On a side note, we do have a mould line all the way down the firebox to the boiler. I think it's a mould line. Could be how the Kings were built, I'm not sure. We do have a copper chimney as well. As we do an underneath look of the locomotive, the front pony truck or bogie is a typical Great Western. It has an odd style shape. That is metal and that is a great touch. The brake rigging, I believe, was already added. That is nice as well. You can also see the wheels here are metal, but I am unsure where the pickups are, and they could be quite deep down and I can't seem to see them. So I will apologise. Saying that, is quite nice underneath. You're not really going to see it when it goes round, but it looks pretty simple. There's a few screws there, I believe, to take off the base keeper plate. And finally, as we do an underneath look of the tender, you can see the copper connection. Like I said, it's just a fork. It's quite good actually. I don't mind that sort of connection. Don't think there's any pickups on the tender wheels, but I could be wrong. I haven't really looked. We do have the brake rigging already applied. We also have a scoop as well for the water. The troughs and all that would be great. That is there, that is amazing. We do have a big fat decoupling. It's not too bad. Like I said, we have sprung buffers as well. And we also have metal wheels. And there's possibly some other details that I've slightly missed. So yeah guys, that's it on the tracks. Next up will be the usual points test and second radius. I do believe this one would manage all that. Probably a little bit stuttery because it's not probably been running a while, so I will apologise in advance. So here goes, shall we? Little stumble there, what's that? 35, it's pretty high. Very high actually. So yeah, it did stutter a little bit. I thought it might. It's not been running in a while and I think it has a slight fault. But I'm unsure at this point in time. But it still ran pretty smooth around the second radius and stuff. So they're quite good actually, quite good. Next it will be the sort of slow speed solo running session thing. And then I'll see you at the end of the video. So here goes. $30. And that was the controller. Still pretty smooth for DC. So yeah guys, that's the end of the review. Before I give my opinion, I'll show you what it ran with, which was one of the baggage cars, the four-wheeled from Hornby, something different. I haven't got a full break or anything like that in Great Western, and then just a few Great Western coaches that I don't know who designed them, if that makes sense. I know the Hornby, the one's an Airfix one. We have I think it's third class brake. We have two restaurant cars. And then we have a BR Great Western coach at the end in maroon. It looks okay to me. I haven't got that many Great Western coaches, so I do apologise. I've got a few in the BR liveries, but not many in the custard and cream, custard and chocolate style ones, or cream and chocolate, depending on your preference. So I will apologise. I also apologise about the stumbling you may have seen. It doesn't like the crossing for some reason. It's a little playing up at the moment. But saying that, it's a good runner. I would highly recommend these. These are fantastic runners. I spoke to a few people about the 2000 era stuff from Hornby, and they agree with me, and we agree with each other actually, that the 2000 stuff is probably the best Hornby I've ever done. From the Merchant Navies, the A4s, and in my opinion, even the tender-driven A3s that Hornby did around that time. They're all wonderful models. Yes, they don't have the amount of detail we get today, but they still do the job. And this is 20-ish years old. It looks fantastic. You can't really tell it's an older model unless you know the difference. But yeah, that's my opinion. I highly recommend these. They're great runners, and they go for a reasonable price now. I think I paid £90 for mine. Like I said, if you want to know what the story behind this locomotive, I will link the story behind this locomotive at the end card and during the video. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoy the video, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. So please take care.